Hello everyone, and this is Phoenix here, and today we're going to be doing the pickup video for the month of November of 2016. Now, there's not a whole lot that I can say at the beginning here other than the fact that I've been really busy on like so many different things, but I'm not going to get too much into that there, but anyways, first thing, let's start off with the shoutouts. So the first one that I'm going to be doing a shoutout for this month is the Funny Nerd, and he does do a lot of first impressions videos, or just like impression videos in general, and he also does do some live streams and also some video responses. He's a really cool guy. I know one game he's been playing a lot of on his channel was Killer is Dead, which is actually a pretty great game that's very underrated. So yeah, he's actually a really cool guy. Now the next one we have here, this one might be a little bit tough to pronounce, but this is how I think it's said. It's Steph Laref, and basically he does some live streams, he does like some general discussion videos, and that's pretty much all like the stuff that I've seen from him, but so far they are actually like really good, and he's actually a really chill person. Also, one thing that's interesting to note about him is that he's actually a big fan of the game, what is it called? 3D Game Hero, which is awesome because, you know, that game is just freaking amazing and more people need to play it, damn it. So, yeah, he's actually a pretty great guy. Now the last one, and this one I think I know how to say it, but I'm not entirely sure. You guys can correct me on this if I'm wrong, if I'm right or wrong, but, Revenos Spectre? Like I said, I can't remember, but it's set up here somewhere. But anyways, he does do a lot of discussion videos, he does pickups, he does mini reviews, and he also does some like rant videos here and there. And yeah, he's actually a pretty cool person. I've talked to him a couple of times here and there, and yeah, well, I think all of these people are great, but regardless these are all channels that are very small, and I think they definitely do need some recognition, so hopefully this will help you guys out. And with that said, let's begin the pickup video. So first things first, let's start off with the easier ones to explain, which are the Atari games. There's only two that I found, and this one right here is one I heard about quite some time ago, and that is barnstorming. Basically, you're using like an airplane, and you're just gotta like fly over like little like antennas thing, and then you gotta like fly through like houses and, well, not houses, you fly through barns, and yeah, it's kind of a weird game, but it's actually very addicting for how simple it is. But yeah, it's actually not bad. This one right here is a fucking awesome one, and that is Spider Fighter. Basically, this game is a lot like, it's a lot like Space Invaders, but the difference is that this one is like a lot faster paced, so it's actually a lot more fun, and I do think the controls on it are a little bit better, but really, you can't go wrong with original Space Invaders either there. But yeah, this one, I just love this one a whole bunch. This one's just really great. I can highly recommend this one in case you don't have this game on your Atari. Next up, we got two NES games, and this one right here is The Adventures of Dino Ricky, which is from Hudson Soft. And this is actually a pretty cool game. It's basically a shoot 'em up where you play as like a caveman. You get to like shoot at dinosaurs, and you can like upgrade your shot to like, you know, like a hammer or a boomerang, and it's always like scrolling upwards. It's kind of similar to King's Knight, but I do think it is a little bit better than that one. But yeah, this game's actually really fucking hard, but it's definitely like, really fun. I actually enjoy it quite a lot. But one thing that is interesting with this copy that I have is that the back has like the biggest label sticker I've ever seen on the back of like any cartridge ever. And it's kind of cool looking because it's basically like tells you about like rules on like how, like what the game is and such. It's kind of interesting. I've never seen anything like that before. But yeah, The Adventures of Dino Ricky is actually a pretty enjoyable game if I say so myself. Now this next NES game we got over here is actually a game that never got released over here. It's actually a PAL release, although it was also on the Famicom as well, and that happened to be the new Ghostbusters 2. Yes, this is actually a Ghostbusters game that we never got in the US, or in North America in general. But anyways, this game is actually pretty awesome, so therefore I actually call it Ghostbusters 2, the good version, because, you know, the other Ghostbusters 2 is just not that great to begin with, and just same thing with all the other Ghostbusters games that we ever got on there. But yeah, this game's actually pretty great. It's a top-down view, and you just gotta catch ghosts by shooting the proton beams at them, and then you gotta capture them. It's very simple, easy to pick up and play, and it's a whole lot of fun, and it definitely does get some really good challenge going on as well. So, yeah, it kind of sucks that we never got it over here, though, but it's actually kind of interesting that it was actually developed by HAL Laboratory, the same people that made, you know, like games like Kirby, Smash Bros, Kabuki Quantum Fighter, and like so many other great games. So yeah, it's actually pretty great. Also, I know Kid Shoryuken actually did do a review of this game, of the Famicom version, which is pretty interesting to know. So yeah, go check out that review in case you haven't. Next we have are some Sega Genesis games, and this one right here is Arnold Schwarzenegger in True Lies. And yes, this game's actually surprisingly pretty good. I actually find it to be very underrated because, you know, normally you'd think a game like this would suck because it's a movie license game, and funny enough, the Super Nintendo version is published by LJN, so yeah, that's another thing that doesn't really bode well for this since, you know, the reputation that they have. But yes, like I said, it's actually pretty good, I find. It's basically like a top-down running gun sort of game in a maze, and also you have like certain objectives you gotta do or certain things to find. I don't know, it's actually a pretty fun game if I say so myself. Also, interesting enough, this version, I actually think this one's better than the Super Nintendo version, because not only do I think the graphics for it look more like gritty-like, which, you know, suits the game, and also the same thing with the music, but at the same time, this version actually has blood in the game, because the Super Nintendo version was censored for that. So actually, I do find that the Genesis version is just a lot better in my opinion. But either way though, one last thing I gotta say is that the bird is out. Okay, I can't do his accent. Now the next Sega Genesis game we have here is Shadow Dancer, The Secrets of Shinobi, and this game is pretty great, but I don't think it's the best Shinobi game though, but it is a pretty fun one though. But my main issue with this game, and it's also like really fucking hard as hell, is that this game, like, it has one-hit deaths, and it just gets really fucking frustrating, I find. But at least all the stages are really short, which is good. But it's still, like, really insanely hard, especially the bosses. Like, I can't beat that first freaking boss, man. But, one thing that is cool about this one, though, is that you do get, like, a little dog, like, ally who, like, gets, like, help you out, like, do different things and stuff. So, that's actually pretty cool. But, yeah, personally, it's not my favorite one, but I still think it is a pretty good one. Also, the box art on this one is a bit blurry, because this is actually a printout cover that came with the game when I bought it, but, that doesn't really bother me. But either way, though, it is good, but not the best in the series, in my opinion. Next up are some N64 games. In fact, I have not bought an N64 game in, like, over a year, if you could believe it. Well, anyway, so these two games are part of the same series, and they are the Top Gear games, which are, like, racing games, obviously, as you can tell. So this is Top Gear Rally 2, and this one is Top Gear Overdrive. And, basically, I used to play the first Top Gear Rally a lot as a kid. Like, I remember a friend of mine had it, we used to play it all the time, used to create cars and such. But this one, unfortunately, you can't create a car, or at least, like, as far as I played it, I couldn't find the feature for it. But either way, though, it is still a pretty fun racing game, and it is a bit more realistic, because you can actually, like, your car can pretty much break down. It has, like, multiple parts and such, so yeah, that's actually kind of interesting. But this one's kind of like the more, like, you know, stereotypical generic racing game. But it's still fun, but I think it's much better with two players, though. But as for this one, though, I think this one's actually a lot better, mainly because it's much more over the top, and it's much more, like, faster paced and all that kind of stuff. But, yeah, one thing that's really funny with this one is that you can actually drive, like, a car that has, like an N64 logo on wheels, or one that has, like, a taco. It's pretty great and hilarious, and I don't know, I think this one's just all around better, although the music in it is kind of weird. It's like the typical, like, grunge, like, rock music that was popular in the 90s, but still, I do think it is a pretty enjoyable one. Now this N64 game right here is one I actually have a funny story with renting it, and I'll explain that in a moment, but it is Pokemon Puzzle League. Now, the funny story I have with this game is that way back when we used to go to the video store, I always wanted to rent out some of the Pokemon games, but they were always rented out because, you know, they were, like, super duper popular. But this was, like, the one Pokemon game that was, like, no one, like, ever rented, probably because it was a puzzle game, and you know how kids were back then. They're all like, oh, fuck puzzles. But except for me, though, I was actually okay with puzzle games. Sure, I would prefer to play something with action, but I was okay with playing puzzle games every now and then. But either way there, so I was probably, like, the only person at that video store that ever, like, rented this game, I'm sure, because I don't ever recall anyone else ever renting it. But either way, though, this game's actually really fun. It's a part of, it's a kind of like a spin-off to, like, a really big series of puzzle games. I forget the name of them off the top of my head there, but it's actually really good, really simple fun. And of course, one thing that's also interesting to note is that this is actually one of the very few games on the N64 that uses FMV cutscenes. Now, this is the last N64 game I got over here, and this was actually a very obscure game that's a part of a really awesome series that I really do enjoy, and that is Ogre Battle 64. And I forget the exact number entry this series within the storyline. I know it gets kind of confusing there, but anyways, though, this is a tactical RPG just like all the other ones, and yes, a tactical RPG on the N64, that's a very rare sight to see, and I think it might actually be like the only one on that system as far as I know. But still, this is actually a pretty great game for what it is, and this was actually another one of those games I used to see all the time at the video store, but I never rented it, even if it had a really awesome cover art. And the reason why I never rented it as a kid was because I thought it looked like way too complicated for me, and boy was I right, because I know if I would have played this game as a kid, I would have been like screwed over entirely. But yeah, but now that I'm like much older, and now that I really do enjoy these games a hell of a lot, yeah, this is actually a really great one, and I can definitely recommend playing it if you do have some interest within, you know, like tactical RPGs. This next game over here is a GameCube game, and it's actually a part of a series that I never even played before. I've heard about it, and funny thing was, how I first heard about the series was actually when I watched the movie, and the movie was god fucking awful. But thankfully this game's actually not anywhere near awful, and that is Blood Rain. Yes, this is actually a third-person shooter with some hack-and-slash elements. There's also a little bit of stealth involved, but you're pretty much using like a chick who's like a Dampier, basically a vampire mixed with like a human, so she's not fully a vampire, but has some vampire powers, and it's actually pretty fun. I actually really enjoy this one quite a lot, so I am pretty happy to actually finally get down and play this one. And of course, I do want to play the sequel as well, but I'm not sure if it is available on the GameCube. It might be, I'm not sure. But either way, though, it's actually a pretty enjoyable game. And now we're going to get into the more current stuff, but let's talk about the handheld games. And this was one game I haven't even played yet. I just opened it up and take a look at everything, and it's a part of a series that I also never even played, and that is Atari Odyssey 2. And this is basically a first-person dungeon-crawling RPG, and I haven't played any of them, although I have played the one spin-off that you probably are familiar with, and that's Persona Q, and that game is pretty awesome. But yeah, this game pretty much plays exactly like that in a lot of ways, but like I said, I haven't really played it, so I can't say a whole lot on that. But I know that the music in this game is fucking awesome, and it's also done by a really good composer who has done the music for like a lot of Sega games, which is pretty great. Now, as for the next 3DS game, this is actually a game I've been wanting to get for a while, but I just never seen it around until recently, and this is Shinobi, or I like to call it Shinobi 3D, because just calling it Shinobi would just get really confusing. But anyways, so I've only played like very, very little of this game. Like I only played like the first level, and that's it. And the only reason why I did that is because my original 3DS is like the whole like circle pad thing. I think that thing is like starting to like get all like messed up, because like when I was playing this game, like my hand was hurting like a bitch. So because of that, I just haven't really played it a lot there. But it does seem like a really awesome like entry into the series, and a lot of people have been telling me that this game is hard as hell, and I'm willing to bet that there. But at least in this game, you don't die in one hit, which is good. But either way, though, it does seem really awesome, and there's actually some really cool stages. Apparently, there's a stage in this game that's based after Afterburner, which is pretty awesome. Now, this game over here is the last 3DS game that I got, and this is a game I never even heard of before. It was also really cheap, so I was kind of intrigued and went like, you know what, why not? I mean, how could you go wrong? And this game happens to be Shifting World. This is basically a very indie-style game. It's a platforming plus puzzle game where basically you gotta collect keys, avoid objects, and just try to get to the door after you get all the keys. So, in a way, it's kind of similar to that game I did a review on, what was it, Rollaway or Cooler World or whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it's a lot like that game in some sort of ways, but instead of being a ball, you're a dude, or you're a detective dude that kind of looks like Daisuke Jigen from Lupin the Third, but without the beard. But anyways, though, this is actually a pretty good game. I do enjoy it for what it is, although I wouldn't pay like brand new price for it there, but I just got it for like really cheap since it was used. But either way, though, I do think it is pretty good for what it is. And now we're gonna get into some Vita games, and this is actually a game I'm surprised that my EB Games actually got, because this game was released a couple months ago and I didn't even hear about it at that time. But I'm actually glad I did, because this is actually a part of a really good series, and that is Siren the Wanderer. In case you don't know, this is actually a remastered game because the original version was on the DS, and there was also a Wii version. And it's really unfortunate that those two versions are actually really hard to find now, where this one's remastered, and it shouldn't be too hard to find, or you can just download it on your PS Vita. Well, either which way you go, this game is pretty great, because it's a part of the Mystery Dungeon series. So with that being said, it's a roguelike, like a top-down roguelike, and I really do like some of those games, although there are some that are not so great, but this one, I can already say that I'm loving this game so far, and probably one of my favorite parts about this game happens to be the graphics style, because it pretty much looks like Pocky and Rocky on the Super Nintendo on steroids, and as you know, that game looks beautiful as it does on the Super Nintendo, but with this one, man, it just looks fucking amazing. Well, either way, if you really like roguelikes, I can definitely say that this one is worth looking into. Now, this next game over here is another Vita game, and funny enough, it's also another remastered game, but before I show you guys what it is and tell you about it, it's this game I actually didn't buy it. It was actually gifted to me from a friend of mine from my old place, because I ended up giving her a game on her birthday. I gave her a copy of Trails of Cold Steel on the PS3, so she wanted to give me something on my birthday, and that game happens to be Odin Sphere. And yes, I freaking love this game. Although I really do like the PS2 version as well, but this one is just so much freaking better there, mainly because they actually fixed one of the issues I had with the original game, and that was that the game started out way too hard, because it was a lot of the enemies were super powerful, and it was really hard to grind because it was just annoying and tedious. For this one, they actually fixed all that, and yeah, it's just fucking great. But basically, this is a Vanillaware game, so it looks really awesome looking with its art style, and it also plays really great. It's a it's like a beat 'em up that has some RPG elements. Actually has a lot of RPG elements, and of course you can do alchemy. You can also do cooking. You can garden, because you make plants that give you fruit, which gives you even more EXP and such. It's pretty awesome shit, and of course the story in this one's also really cool as well. So yeah, this game is just really awesome. I can definitely recommend getting it on the last one, and it's the only PS4 game I got this month, and it's an RPG, and it starts with an F, and it's World of Final Fantasy. What, you thought I was going to say Final Fantasy 15? And also, I'm sure there'll be someone who'll say, well, it starts with a W. I know that. I'm talking about the main series in general. Well, either way, this is actually a pretty great game that I was definitely very surprised, because I wasn't really sure what to think about it at first, but then a lot of people I know were telling me about it, saying how it was actually a really fun game, so I was like, you know what, I might as well try it out, and you know what, I actually really like this game. Basically, it kind of plays like a Pokemon game where, it's turn-based. You also get to, capture, mirages, which is, kind of funny because it reminds you of Tokyo Mirage Seasons. But either way, though, but the one thing that is really cool about it there is that you get to stack these little mirages on top of your heads, and they give you different abilities and such. It's actually a pretty cool game, and I actually really dig it. Although I really got to get around to finishing it there. I'm not sure exactly how far I am. I can't remember. I know I'm at a part where you meet Squall, and basically you're captured and all that kind of stuff. That's the part where I was at. But yeah, this is actually a pretty enjoyable spin-off, if I say so myself. And that is all of the stuff that I got, and goddamn, my voice is freaking killing me today. Well, either way, that's what happens when I start screaming and shouting, because you have no idea how many times I've been trying to retake some of these shots because I keep on fucking up. But either way there. Now I'm just kind of doing it off the cuff. Yeah, I don't care if I make mistakes, but yeah, so that'll be the end of this pickup video, and of course, there's going to be a lot of content happening in December, because I'm actually going to be doing a little bit of an update video on my birthday, so keep out on that, and I'll explain a little bit more on things. So anyways, with that being said, thanks for watching and commenting, and have yourselves a great day.